Cool, so I thought I'd make a video showing people what I use for inking and stuff with my drawings. So mostly I use just these 5 things, but not all obviously at the same time. So normally when I'm doing just a simple outline of something, I use a 0.8mm fine liner, which I'm sure everyone's seen before. And if I want to do some detail like the inside of an eye, I'll use the 0.4mm fine liner. So you can do all your etc. And then when you want to get the detail in an eye, I can use a small one. So I've got a 0.4 and a 0.8, and they're pretty much good enough for everything I've needed so far. You can get sort of fat lines and sort of thin lines as well with the 0.8 by angling it. But I generally use these for smaller drawings where brush pens and stuff like that have a bit too much variation in line weight. So if I want to vary line weight but still have a small drawing, this is a Tombow, I think it's a Fudenoski. I have no idea how you pronounce any of these. So it's a, where are we? So you can see it's actually a fairly small tip. It's quite firm, and that's really useful when you want to also do small things as well. So you can obviously have really thinnish lines and really fat lines. So that's a really good brush pen for smaller drawings. When going up to larger things, I use this brush pen. Now what's the brand on this one? I have no idea. I got this at a shop in Melbourne and it cost me like $10, and it's got disposable cartridges in the back, so it's got quite a large tip. The ink in this is a little bit more greasy than the Pentel Pocket Brush. So this is really good because you can get really broad fat lines, and depending on how good you are, you can get really small thin feathery lines as well. So that's really fun. I don't think the ink in this one is waterproof though. This one, the Pentel Pocket Brush, is like the deluxe one. I think this is like $15, but this comes with sorry, so you can see it's got a nice calligraphy like tip, and this comes with refillable cartridges as well. The ink in these lasts for absolute ages. I think I've replaced the cartridge in it twice in like 3 months, and this is similar to the previous one, but I feel like it's less greasy. It's got a nicer, quicker flow, but you can also do dry brushing, which is sometimes a really nice aesthetic. The only issue with these, when I get like nervous or I haven't warmed up, I get like wobbly lines because they're really sensitive and touchy. So these take a bit of practice for me to get the hang of. So those are the main ones I use, like 90% of the time. If I'm cross hatching or something like that, I got one of these. So this is a G pen. These hold it. It's a dippy pen, a dippy boy. So buy packs of these for like $3 or something online. They come coated with a little bit of oil so they don't rust in storage. So you just use a cigarette lighter to burn that off. This also took me ages to realize, but inside this pen tip, it's got a little knob, so it does fit on the back of here, which made me feel pretty stupid when I worked that out. Oh, shit. Oh, that ink's dried on. Clearly I don't use this very much. So this is Indian ink, which I think is a particulate-based ink, so it's really dark. But however, it does not work well in a fountain pen because it doesn't flow that great in those. It gets a bit gooey. So this is really neat for really fine stuff. So you can, it's got that really pleasant scritchy sound as well. You can't push with these pens, otherwise it digs into the paper, so you could pull. But with you can vary your pressure to generate the variation in line weight. Oops, hang on. So that's what the G pen is for. You can get smaller tips as well if you've got really fine stuff, but you know, this is great for eyelashes and such. Finally, the last thing I use, and not really that often, I'll be honest, but sometimes I do and it's really fun, is just a brush. You can dip that into your ink, and it is like the brush pens, but you've got a little bit more flexibility because you can do all sorts of wacky stuff like lay it on its side and things like that. Very pleasant. So those are the main things I use. I do have bigger brushes if I'm doing something really massive, but that is pretty much all of it. No worries. If there's any questions you have about any of these materials here, just give us a shout out in the comments and I'll try and answer it. Thanks very much for watching.